All right, welcome to this explainer. If you're an ambitious young professional, like literally standing right at the starting line of your career right now, and you're trying to figure out how to build serious, lasting wealth, well, you are exactly where you need to be. I want you to just forget the noise for a second. Forget the get-rich-quick schemes, and honestly, forget the traditional advice that's kept millions of people totally trapped in mediocrity. Today, we're going to lay down the ultimate blueprint for becoming the architect of your own wealth. Because here's the thing, this isn't about luck, not at all. It's about strategy, it's about discipline, and it's about building a foundation so incredibly strong that your financial freedom essentially becomes inevitable. I am thrilled you're here with us. We're going to look really closely at some ridiculously powerful concepts pulled directly from self-made millionaires and top neuroscientists. I mean, did you know 80% of millionaires are completely self-made? It's true. So today, we're giving you their exact blueprint so you can absorb it and apply it immediately. Let's get to work. Okay, let's dive into this. It sounds completely backward, doesn't it? I mean, the usual script we're all handed is go to school, get a job, earn a paycheck, and boom, you get rich. But what if I told you that prioritizing a massive paycheck right out of the gate is the exact fatal flaw that stalls most careers? Just imagine you land this really comfortable, slightly boring job with an amazing starting salary. You start stacking cash, your friends think you've totally made it, your parents are incredibly proud. But here is the hidden danger, the trap most people don't see. Your learning curve flattens out almost immediately. You're just trading your time for dollars, but you aren't building any real leverage. Over time, your income growth will inevitably just stall out. You become entirely dependent on that single stream of income, and suddenly the money you chased has become the exact thing keeping you stuck.
So that was the easy route. Now let's talk about path 2, working for skills and equity. Now this path, it's much harder at first. It might actually mean taking a lower-paying job or even struggling to pay your bills for a few years. Your friends might even think you're falling behind. But this path prioritizes long-term value over short-term cash. A perfect example of this comes from self-made millionaire Mark Tilbury. He actually left school at 16 with absolutely no qualifications. But instead of just taking the highest-paying entry-level job he could find, he chose a carpentry apprenticeship. Now, the pay wasn't great, right? But he knew the practical skills he'd learned were highly, highly valuable. He prioritized his skill set above everything else. Every job he took after that was like adding a brand new tool to a Swiss Army knife. By focusing on becoming exceptionally valuable first, the massive money inevitably followed later.
If you want to follow path 2 today, you absolutely need to acquire high-income technical skills before you ever start stressing about massive profits. We're talking about things like coding, really understanding artificial intelligence, video editing, or copywriting. Why these specific ones? Because right now, literally every business on Earth is desperately trying to scale digitally, and there is a massive shortage of truly skilled people in these areas. Sure, anyone can claim they edit videos or write copy, but 99% of people out there just do not meet the high standards the market actually requires. If you put your head down and master these specific, highly demanded technical skills first, it becomes nearly impossible for you to go broke in the future. You literally become someone who can walk into a business, solve a massive problem for them, and easily demand equity or premium fees in return. But you're probably wondering, how do you actually find the time and the focus to acquire these skills? Well, it all comes down to this incredible foundational philosophy from Jim Rohn. Your day is your life in miniature. Think about that for a second. How you spend your morning dictates your day, and your days dictate your life. To acquire these powerful, high-income skills, you need a daily plan that literally hacks your brain's natural rhythms. According to leading neurologists, when you first wake up, your brain transitions from deep sleep delta waves into theta and alpha waves before finally hitting the fast-paced beta waves of normal waking consciousness. Those theta and alpha states right when you wake up, that is the golden hour. Your subconscious is highly suggestible, and your creativity is at its absolute peak. If you wake up and instantly grab your phone to scroll, you shock your brain straight into a state of reactive stress. You are literally wasting your greatest daily asset. Now, what's really interesting about this is how we can practically capture that morning brainwave state. Enter the Movers routine. It's a structured daily plan to prime your brain for peak performance, so you can learn a new skill and increase your market value. You just dedicate 5 minutes to each step. M is for meditation, just silencing the mind. O is for oxygenation, doing some deep breath work. V is for visualization, imagining your goals crystal clearly. E is for exercise, getting the blood flowing. R is for reading, putting positive educational inputs right into your mind. And S is for scribing, which is journaling or just writing out what you need to release. In just 30 minutes, you have completely hacked your biology. You aren't just awake, you are primed. This is when you dedicate the next 60 minutes exclusively to studying and practicing those high-income skills we just discussed, long before the rest of the world wakes up to distract you. Now, you might be thinking, there is no way I could do that every single day. But listen to this. Research in behavioral psychology revolves around a very specific magic number, 21. It takes exactly 21 days of consistent discipline to forge completely new neural pathways in your brain. If you just force yourself through that initial discomfort of waking up early and following the routine for just 3 weeks, something magical actually happens. It shifts from being this difficult, exhausting chore to an automatic, unstoppable habit. Your brain literally physically wires itself to expect and crave that routine. Remember, discipline isn't about being perfect forever. It's just about being consistent long enough for the habit to take over the heavy lifting. So let's say you've built the skills and you're starting to make some real money. That is excellent. But here is a massive warning, brilliantly summarized by this concept inspired by the psychology of money. Offense gets you wealthy, but only defense keeps you there. Getting rich and staying rich are two entirely different skill sets. Making money requires taking risks, being bold, and playing great offense. But keeping that money? That requires frugality, a little bit of paranoia, and an ironclad defense. If you only know how to make money but you have zero defense to protect it from toxic financial habits, you are going to end up right back where you started. You absolutely must guard your wealth just as aggressively as you build it. To build that defense, let's rapidly navigate through the 7 traps that will absolutely destroy your wealth. Number 1. Working exclusively for money, which we already covered. 2. Lifestyle inflation. Buying a bright yellow Lamborghini on credit just to impress a bunch of strangers on social media, that's fake wealth, and it leads straight to a mountain of debt. 3. Refusing to delegate. You literally cannot scale if you try to do everything yourself. 4. Overloading on conflicting inputs. Listening to absolutely everyone instead of a few trusted experts just causes massive decision paralysis. 5. Ego-driven decision-making. Believing you already know everything totally blinds you to new opportunities. 6. Blaming others for your circumstances, which we'll expand on in just a second. And 7. Staying static in your comfort zone. Let's actually look a little closer at that last one right now. Are you trapped in a self-imposed prison? I know that's a confronting question, but your comfort zone is exactly that. It's this cozy place you retreat to for safety and security. But here is the hard truth of the matter. Over half the population never leaves this confinement. They feel anxious that they might regret playing it so safe one day, yet they just stay completely paralyzed. I want you to think of your current comfort zone as the walls of a self-imposed prison cell. Everything you actually want, the high income, the successful business, the financial freedom, it all lives entirely outside of those walls. If you refuse to step out just because you're afraid of the unknown, you are literally locking the cell door from the inside. You're ensuring that your future looks exactly like your present. The reality is, expanding your horizons by intentionally leaning into discomfort is an absolute prerequisite for massive financial and personal growth. You have to intentionally launch yourself out of that cell. For Mark Tilbury, stepping out of his comfort zone meant leaving his totally secure business model, taking out a massive bank loan, which was a huge calculated risk, and traveling all the way to China to find manufacturers for his remote control airplane brand. And he did this despite immense language and cultural barriers. It was terrifying, but it was the exact catalyst that built his entire empire. You must intentionally seek out projects, learn skills, and have conversations that make you feel slightly uncomfortable. That feeling of discomfort, that is the exact feeling of your capacity expanding. So the crucial point is how you actually handle things when you step out of that comfort zone and, well, things inevitably go wrong. Because they will. The average person ties failure directly to their self-worth. They try to start a business, it fails, and they say, I am a failure. But the wealthy, they redefine failure entirely. It is not a permanent identity. It is simply valuable data. It's just the market giving you feedback. They completely remove the shame from the process. When a strategy doesn't work, they don't internalize it. They just say, okay, well, that didn't work. Let's refine the strategy and go again. You have to strip away the emotional baggage of failing so you can use those lessons for personal growth and bounce back faster and smarter. And to bounce back quickly, you really have to choose between 2 tools, the magnifying glass or the mirror. And this brilliantly illustrates a super powerful Chinese proverb that goes, he who blames others has a long journey. He who blames himself is halfway there. And he who blames no one has already arrived. Think about it. When things go wrong, if you pick up the magnifying glass, you're just focusing on everyone else's faults. You blame the government, your boss, the economy. But if you pick up the mirror, you focus entirely on your own thoughts and actions, which are literally the only things you can actually control. Taking absolute responsibility by using the mirror drastically accelerates your success because it immediately puts you right back in the driver's seat. Once you've taken that responsibility, you need to literally tune your internal frequency. Now, gratitude gets thrown around a lot as just a feel-good buzzword, but actually, neurologically and psychologically, it is a massive wealth-building tool. When you are ungrateful, your brain is hyper-focused on scarcity, what you lack, what's missing from your life, what's unfair. But a simple daily practice of writing down just 3 things you are grateful for fundamentally alters your mental state. It forcefully shifts your focus to abundance. It forces you to acknowledge the tools, the network, and the opportunities you already possess right now. And as the millionaire mindset clearly dictates, when you operate from a place of abundance, you naturally attract way more wealth and opportunity into your life. Finally, to really cement all of this, we have to talk about your environment. Environment shapes identity. You rise or fall to the level of the people around you. Listen, if you are trying your hardest to learn high-income skills, wake up early, and build a business, but your inner circle is constantly complaining about money, mocking your ambition, and just wasting time, they will pull you down to their level, for sure. You must relentlessly audit your inner circle. Proximity is power. Curating a growth-focused environment, literally surrounding yourself with people who normalize excellence, talk about acquiring assets, and celebrate success, that is the final key to shaping a wealthy mindset. Their beliefs and their daily disciplines will subconsciously rub off on you.
Wow, okay, we have covered a massive amount of ground in this explainer today. We've talked about prioritizing technical skills over quick money, hacking your morning routine to actually learn those skills, avoiding those 7 toxic wealth traps, breaking out of your comfort zone, and curating a powerful environment. But here's the thing. Knowledge without action is just dormant potential. Everything we've discussed today remains a complete fantasy until you actually apply it. So I'm going to leave you with this. What will you do today to take your first step? Are you going to set your alarm 30 minutes earlier tomorrow to start the movers routine? Are you going to finally buy that book on copywriting? Are you going to take a hard look at your social circle? The choice is entirely yours. Become the architect of your own wealth and start right now. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.